Catholic education. She's a military career, and it's just a great honor and a pleasure for me to stand up here and introduce Kim Olson, your next Commissioner of Agriculture.
Wow. Let's just open the floor for questions. Right to it.
You had to give up your organic garden.
No, actually, I harvested blackberries this morning. That's why I have no fingernails and my hands are all torn up. So, no, I'm still raising food. So, matter of fact, my intern got a bag of blackberries. There weren't enough for all of you, so I am not sharing.
They are delicious.
So let me just talk about two things tonight, and those of you that have heard me speak before, I apologize if I'm going to repeat my story. This is really hard on me because as a pilot, you don't like somebody sitting in your six like this, so I hate turning my back to you, but it makes me kind of sweat a little bit.
Oh, we saw you in Cleburne.
Yeah, okay, all right. My better side here, but anyway, I just want to tell you about kind of two things. Number one is, agriculture, but let me just lay this out for you. Agriculture touches your life every day. Every day. And I'm going to tell you how. Number one is every time you put a gallon of gas in your car, if you look up at that gas pump, there's a sticker that says the Department of Ag makes sure that you get a gallon of gas for the $2.17 you just gave them. Think that's important? Yes, I do. So Ways and Means, that's what we do. The other thing is the Department of Agriculture does consumer protection. Every time you buy a dozen eggs, or you go to the store and buy some meat, or you get something out of the grocery store, that department makes sure it's safe. Sounds like something that's a big deal, right? Absolutely. But the things that are near and dear to my heart are this. The Department of Agriculture is the agency that ensures 3 million Texas children get a decent meal, because the Department of Agriculture is the pass-through for the Title X money that comes to us so we can do free reduced lunch. Do you not think that 3 million children ought to get a decent meal every day? And I'm not talking out of a bag or a piece of plastic. I'm talking about a decent meal, a hot meal. Somebody just emailed me the other night. Do you not think Texas kids ought to get a hot meal, one hot meal a day? And not normally it occurs in a school. How many educators do I have in the room here with me? Am I not right in this? So Texas Ag actually feeds Texas children. And on the other end of the spectrum, do you not think that people that are maybe housebound, seniors, disabled, ought to have a decent meal? This is Texas, right? This is 2017. Families ought to have a meal. Guess what? Department of Ag does Meals on Wheels. All right, so we got the young, we got the old, we got the consumers in the middle. And here's the last part. And this is kind of what my journey's been about for the last 2 months when I started this campaign. The last thing that the Department of Ag does is it's supposed to help rural development. How we doing? How we doing? Okay, I'm hearing a chuckle. I'm going to take that as a not so good. Not so good. That's what I would argue. I live in Mineral Wells. I love that city. But it is a town unhampered by time and progress. It really is. It's a forgotten city. And there's forgotten cities and rural counties all over the state, but people forget this nation was built on the back of rural communities and those that live in them. And so I guess my point is, what I'd like to be for you, especially here in Granbury, is to be your voice in Austin, because somehow that voice of the rural Texan has gotten lost in all the wind, all the hot air, all the drama. What matters to Texans every day somehow is getting lost in all this messaging. So that's what I'd like to do. That's it. That's my spiel. So, no self-respecting pilot gets a platform without a story, so there I was. So I'm going to tell you a story about a time when I was in Iraq. So normally I do warfare at 30,000 feet, but this time I was going to do it, I did it at 3 feet. And because I was part of the team to rebuild the country after we took Baghdad. So we went in right after Baghdad fell. We didn't have a green zone. We didn't have flak vests. They weren't shooting at us yet, so I had a run of the country. We could go to mosques, marketplaces, and Iraqi homes. And if you visit an Iraqi home, they are very hospitable people. You'll get a small glass of warm sweet tea, and they'll share anything they have with you. Kind of like, sounds like Texans, right? Except we put our warm sweet tea over ice, don't we? All right? So one afternoon, true to form, found myself in an Iraqi home. We walk in, and in that part of the world, men and women segregate. Men go to the parlor, and the women disappear in the back with the kids. And I was torn. Parlor, kitchen, parlor, kitchen. But if you want to build a sustaining democracy, who men you better talk to? Say it with me, girls. Women. Not because it's right or wrong. Men run. Men are the power levers of the country. Shall I remind you that? We're the spending power. They're the earning power. The point is that women just demand different things from their society. So I followed her back in the kitchen, leaned in the doorway. Do you speak English? Yes, most Iraqis do. I said, what can I do for you? And she had a little 9-year-old standing next to her. And she whips this kid around in front of her and puts the bear claws on her shoulder. And she says, the children. At the time my little girl was 12 years old, I said, yes, the children. What can I do for you and the children? Tell me. And she draws a really long sigh and she says, the children, get them back in school. They're driving me crazy. I said, oh, honey, I hear you. By August in America, we are ready to drop kick our kids out the front door. But what did that mother know about the future of Iraq? Where does it reside? In that now 20-year-old that we hope is in Baghdad University somewhere, right? But what else did that mom know? That if I get my kid back in school and out of the house, right, I can go to the market. If I go to the market, then somebody is going to grow food that I can buy. If somebody's growing food and I'm paying them money, then they can hire somebody else to work their land. If someone else is working their land, he has some income and he can buy products on the market. You see where I'm going with this? It's not that hard. The Iraqis got it. We can get it in rural Texas. Texans know what it takes to make their own communities work. DC doesn't know this, and I would argue Austin probably doesn't know it. We know what we need. We know what the economic engines are that we need. So that story is a good parallel for what we can do in our own little counties. And I'll give you one great example. And this is sort of my journey, is I'm trying to visit every single county. 254. I was corrected by a teacher one time because I said 256. No, it's 254. Who taught you history? In the state of Texas. Because if you will listen to people, they will give you the answers and they will give you the issues that they want you to work on. So I visited a small farmer in Mineral Wells, my own backyard. He and I sat on the porch, had a cup of coffee. We had our, I call it my prairie hag outfit on, which is jeans and a shirt. I mean, trust me, I didn't look like this. We had a cup of coffee and we're sipping, and I said, what can I do for you, Jim? Jim Dale Farms. And he says, you see that piece of land across the street? Yep, lives in town. He said, there it sits. Has all kinds of back taxes on it. He says, I can't buy it. I can't afford it with all the back taxes that are levied on it. I said, mm-hmm. He goes, but if I could buy that, do you know what I'd do, kid? I said, what'd you do? He said, I'd grow on it. And if I could grow, I could make enough money to hire me an intern. That means that kid down the street that doesn't have a job, I can put him on my payroll. And then if I give that kid some money, you see where I'm going with this? That kid might be able to go away from college and improve his family tree. And if he improves his family tree, the family that he has will get improved. You see where I'm driving with this? It's not that hard. So if I were queen for a day, I would say to the municipalities, waive the tax, the back taxes on it. Sell it to Mr. Dell. Let him grow on it. Tax him when he starts to earn money on it, because he'll pay taxes on the land eventually. Right now, it's not doing a thing for the city. Then you're going to tax the guy's salary over here. Geez, you get 2 rounds of taxes on it. And then Jim's going to spend money within the town. There's a third thing. It's not that hard, right? You just got to have a sensible voice in the places where they make legislation. It's as simple as that. Here's the thing. We're 20 voices. We got to be 2 million voices. So I'm going to ask you for 3 things tonight, because, again, you got my calling card, my CPAC. Here's Facebook. Now, I know some of you know how to do this. Facebook was created by a guy who wouldn't date in high school. So get on there and like me, because it's important how many likes you got, because that's how people fund. When they look up on your Facebook, you got, I went over 500 likes this week. I'm so excited. But I'm not.
That's 4 or 5 months already.
Thank you, princess. So, because that's how you fund, is how many people are following you and whether they take you serious and you're in dialogue with them. So, like me on my Facebook. Here's the website, if you want to volunteer, if you want to contribute money, I'm in Act Blue, which means a portion of what I raise goes back to the Democratic Party. I'm good for that. And then, I always said it, this isn't the prom. We don't have to be asked. Next time they have a meeting, they work hard, serve yummy food, you bring somebody with you. Because that's how we're going to do this. And you've heard the chairman speak. Texas was 15 points apart, red and blue. We're now 8 points. And people are thinking by 2020, we will go blue. But the only way you go blue is you get up and you go vote and you bring somebody with you. That is the only way it works. Because I would argue Texas is not a red-blue state. She is a non-voting state. 15.6 million registered voters and 8.9 voted last time. Shame on us.
Say that again.
15.6 registered voters and 8.9 voted. It's 50%. All right, anything else then? Maria has been passing around a little clipboard if you want to help in any way. There's kind of a laundry list of things to do. That is on the website too. And then if you're so inclined, I have envelopes there for gas money and running around the state. But I so appreciate you giving me time and asking such great questions. I go home and I write all these little notes about what I learned, because I think that's what your politician ought to do is, you know, have town halls.
Memorialized in memos.
Yeah, you know, have town halls and listen, because people are really smart. I mean, they are. Texans are. It's the reason we're in Texas, because we figured this out ourselves, right? Pioneer men and women. So. And I thank you for letting me come down.
We thank you for coming. And Kim Black of our hospitality committee would like to.
Hi, Kim. We're so happy to have you.
Oh, thank you.
This is from the Hood County Democrats, and we have a couple of homegrown things here for you. Brandy Hur is a published author and editor.
On my bad days.
Founded, and I want to get this straight, Granbury Ghosts and Legends Tour here in Granbury.
Nice.
And then this is from Pemberton Cellars. And so we want to thank her and Pemberton Cellars for
It's the
giving you
first time
that.
I've gotten a gift basket.
We were talking about
my first gift basket.
So we're just so glad to have you.
Aw.
Thank you.